Hey folks, yeah, I think thank you for the introductions, and we'll probably start off with just quick introductions from each of you and just telling us about a bit about what you've been building. And yeah, I'll just quickly introduce myself as well. I'm Barun, and I head product for a wallet called Leap Wallet. So we are a wallet on Cosmos primarily, and we are now scaling into other ecosystems as well. Yeah, and I'll hand it over to Victor, and you folks can also like do a quick introduction.
Hello, everyone. My name is Victor. We're part of the team that builds the wallet in Telegram. That's a native crypto wallet built on Telegram. I've been leading business development, mostly focused on the payment side, on and off ramps, stablecoins. And yeah, very happy to be here with you.
Hi everyone, this is Rohit from CoinDCX and Okto. CoinDCX, as some of you might know, we're a centralized exchange in India. Okto started as a self-custody wallet, but is evolving into an embedded wallet SDK and now a middleware chain as well.
Hey guys, this is Aniket here. I'm one of the co-founders of Biconomy. Biconomy from last 5 years almost been majorly into UX space. We've been trying to build different tools and services to make sure that crypto transactions become more accessible and simpler. Of late, we've been also trying to get into consumer space by building a B2C consumer application.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks for the introduction. So yeah, we'll start off with like one of the most basic questions. We've been hearing about improving UX of wallets for the last God knows how many years. So if we just talk about the recent year or so, what are the most important changes that you folks have seen in wallets in general? I think obviously it started off with like Bitcoin wallets. Like there's nothing, right? Only a developer can use it. Probably MetaMask, one of the first wallets on extension. How has things shaped according to you folks? I think obviously Ton is again very different from this. But yeah, what are the key changes that you folks have seen in the last year or so that have changed on the UX front for wallets?
Would you like to start? Should I? Okay. So let me start by maybe making a little intro about the wallet in Telegram and coming to your question. So the wallet in Telegram basically has both a custodial and a non-custodial component. So different strokes for different folks, right? So depending on your use case, on your level of knowledge around crypto, each of those products could serve you best. And then talking about changes, what has been improving maybe in this cycle. So I think we're gonna get to the part of abstraction, but that's one really nice thing that Ton has launched, which is the W5 standard. So basically with the W5 standard, you don't need to have Toncoin in order to make a USDT transaction. I've seen this trend also going on in other chains. I think that's on the when we talk about UX, this is really important to address, especially I wouldn't say even only for new people, newbies coming into Web3, but for everyone. Like I've been in crypto for quite a while now, a couple of years, and it's just so annoying when you're trying to make a transaction and you need to own some native tokens from that chain, right? So it really makes it easier for not just newbies, but also for Web3 natives. So I think that's a very nice trend that has been solidifying in the past maybe 1 or 2 years. Could mention others as well, but I'll maybe pass the mic to my colleagues here.
Sure. No, completely echo Victor's thoughts on this. Maybe adding my 2 cents as well. The way we think about it is, there is a triangle of mass adoption, and there are 3 edges to that triangle. The first edge is building out the basic infra, which of course started in 2008, 2009 since the white paper. The other edge is scalability, because until you solve for scalability and gas costs fundamentally, you can't come to experience. And that the industry has been working on for a very long time. I think there was a watershed moment with the merge, the roll-up-centric roadmap, and new move-based and other L1s coming out that have solved for scalability to a large extent. But the third pillar, without which you're not going to get mass adoption, is the experience layer. Until you solve for experience, for all the power that Web3 brings to the table, it's highly complicated, both for users and developers. If you look at in the Web2 space, when you open up a simple web page, there are 10 server requests that are happening at the back end. But the user is not aware of that. In fact, the application level developer is also not aware of that. All of that is abstracted away. So that's what we mean by the experience layer, that you need to be able to consume all the power of Web3 without any of the complications for the user and the developer. And that fundamentally is the experience layer, or at least what we call how we think about chain abstraction.
Yeah, I mean, I remember like 5 years ago in fact 6 years ago, the first wallet I got onboarded with was my Ethereum wallet, MEW. I don't know, like you guys hear about that, but it took me like 3 days to get onboarded, store like private keys and stuff like that. And I wasn't able to do transaction there because I didn't have gas. So that's how Biconomy got started overall in the space. Of course, then after I used MetaMask as well, face the same problem. But primary problem was like, how do we like solve for gas and improve the wallet experience? Since then, like what we have seen like in the last 1 year, like wallets have actually changed like quite a lot, right? Like if I have to say like login experiences, till like 2022, like people were not willing to use social logins or passkeys, right? But with Privy and few other, Dynamic and few other companies, like I think that is kind of becoming a norm for most of the wallets to get logged into. Like that's one bigger improvement definitely I've seen in the wallets, in the last one or 2 years. I think gas estimations and gas costs, and a lot of wallets are also thinking of having gas tanks. I mean, I don't know whether you guys look rabby or not. You can have like inbuilt gas tank as well. That was like all we used to like think about back like 4 years ago, but no one was willing to integrate and use it. But all of these improvements I've seen like last 1 year happen quite a lot. Apart from it, right, like I think most of the wallets, I mean, like guys are here, have been thinking a lot on like how do we like integrate chains more, like whether a wallet should only be for EVM or for non-EVM. I think the entire EVM, non-EVM thing should be like hidden for the user. So stuff like what Phantom is doing, it's quite commendable in general, like the UX for like how people would use future applications without, they won't even care like which application the chain is on. So definitely, and lastly, smart contract wallets is also becoming like, more acceptable these days. Like that wasn't like back then. I would say like a lot of improvement has happened in the last 1 year, with how people onboard users, how people transact. We just need like more applications to see like these changes getting enabled. Like that's what we all are kind of working on here.
Awesome. Yeah, I think there's so many interesting directions that we can go from here. There's obviously the smart wallet. There's obviously account abstraction and chain abstraction. There's so many things we want to talk about. But I think the most basic thing that I want to understand is there's like a pure Web3 native user base that we call, which are people who have been in this space for the last few years, who have been using, let's say, extensions, again, probably the worst UX out there for anything, but they are like very much acquainted with this. And then there's new users coming into the ecosystem, be it like Phantom, like this. So many users coming on to Solana for meme coins trading and stuff like that. So how do you like find the right balance on building for a Web3 native user and like a new user who has absolutely no context on what crypto is in general, except for probably like buying like a token, right? That's the most context they have. So is it something that, do you think there's a solution that exists that can fulfill both equally, right? Someone who wants a seed phrase, for example, a Web3 native user, but probably someone who's fine with a previous social login, right? So is there a dilemma that you see, and how do you solve for that, right? Building for both of these user bases.
I'll let you guys start.
I think I can get started, and I probably have a salty take here. I feel like products. It's more about the use case than like building with a Web 2 mindset or Web 3 mindset, because people find their way out to come in the space. I mean, I'll probably like back it up with an example. I have a very good friend, who was PM at Google, like 10 years, quit everything, came to crypto. 2 years, experimented on different products, try to build majorly for like Web 2 experiences, how we can get users on board. Failed miserably. I had to go back to Google. And he kind of saw like Pump.fun. And he's like, nowhere in my life I would have thought like a product like this. And with meme coins, a lot of people are kind of getting onboarded to crypto. unintentionally, right? Like people are finding the way out. So, I mean, like products in Web3 have to be built with a very Web3 native mindset. Of course, like the rails have to be improved. Like that's what we are all working on, where gas should be easy, like onboarding should happen, on-ramping should be easy, and the login experience can be improved. But the product itself, has to be built in a very, Web3 native mindset, like, and people would find the way to come in the space. Like people got onboarded to crypto, because those paradigms were not existent in Web2, right? DeFi is not in Web2, NFTs is not in Web2, meme coins is not in Web2. But like we've been building like new paradigms in the space, and I think that's something we should continue building. Rather than like comparing that, okay, this is how Web2 should be and this is how Web3 should be. And like we all infra providers are trying to make sure the rails become much more easier for Web2, right? Like with tools and services that we're building. But in crypto, like we would always see like new paradigms coming in the space, and that's how like people are gonna get on with it. Like you guys might have different take, but that's a bit salty there.
No, I completely agree with that. As far as either degens are concerned or Web2 native folks coming into Web3 are concerned, everyone likes a good UX, right? What degens probably care about more is a self-custody experience. So they still get a self-custody wallet, even if it's a social login and a very Web2-like experience. I think at the end of the day, what people care about, A, they like a good experience, but B, what they care about and what Web3 enables is a wide plethora of use cases. So as long as you're able to access all of those creative, innovative use cases with an even better user experience, I don't think it's going to be a blocker for a Web3 user or a Web2 user. That said, probably not as salty a take as his, but another salty take is 2025. Even though we've been hearing this for the last 5 years, that this is the year we're going to see masses coming in, but we truly believe that 2025 is the year when we see a lot of masses coming on board, and there are multiple drivers to that. I think regulatory clarity is a huge driver to that. I think the fact that scalability and cost has been solved for is a huge driver to that. A lot of the infra has been built out, and now consumer apps are being built on top of it. All of these are drivers to mass adoption. And given all of this is coming together in 2025, we think the masses are going to come on board in 2025. So at least in the year 2025, while in the past this question would be even more relevant, whether you build for a degen or a Web2 native a Web2 native person, I think in 2025 you'd be doing yourself a disservice if you're not building for the masses.
I would say that one very important thing we need to keep in mind and use as a good reference to this discussion is why centralized exchanges are so successful, right? And usually the highest number of users are using the exchanges as their wallets. It's not what Satoshi envisioned. It's not what we, Web3 native people envision, but it is what it is, right? It's easier. I mean, you don't have to deal with all the complexibilities and go through all this learning curve that you need to go through when you download a wallet and you have to get started with it. And plus, there's the trust. Sort of trust bond that you create with the platform, and knowing that on a wallet, if anything happens, you basically have no one that you can, ask for help. It's really challenging to convince someone that this is a good thing. It's like there's the good and the cons of throwing someone more responsibility. Self-custody, all of those things are really nice, but some people doesn't want this level of responsibility, right? They just want to delegate this level of responsibility. So, and then we see this trend of platforms offering both to their customers, as simple as that. Of course, this might bring future consequences, like fragmentation. There are many things we can talk about consequences on this approach, but it is what it is, and I think that's how maybe companies, platforms in the space have to look at it. You might need to offer both of the options to your customers. Some will feel comfortable having more responsibilities over their assets. Some will not.
That's a very interesting segment that you brought up. Exchanges, again, one of the most used, probably the most used thing right now. And I think CoinDCX was probably one of the first exchanges that I at least used, and many of us here as well. So how did you folks decide to build Okto? Like, what was that point where you decided, okay, we want to build something which is probably like on the self-custodial or mixed one? How did you folks decide that?
Sure. At the end of the day, I think once the dust settles on all of this a couple of years down the line, at least our view is that users are not going to care about if it's a self-custody wallet or a custodial wallet. What they're going to care about is two things. One is getting access to the most amount of liquidity, and number two is getting access to the most amount of use cases. So we think as an exchange who has both kind of offerings, both centralized offerings for certain users and certain use cases, and access to the entire kind of DeFi Web3 space as well in a much more direct way, in a self-custody way. An exchange which offers both of these offerings will be the one that will be able to cater to most user use cases, and which is why we started this journey of a self-custody wallet 2 years back.
Awesome. One thing probably to Aniket, like again, you brought up smart wallets, which is, again, I would say it has been a hot topic for the last few years. We've been discussing a lot around that. At least to my knowledge, I have one of the successful products that I have seen is Coinbase Smart Wallet, obviously. But I don't see a lot of other successful products as such. The infra probably is there already, which is something that I agree on. But what do you see? Where do you see account abstraction going next, right? Like in the last couple of years, why have we not seen more adoption there? Do you have any hypothesis around that?
I mean, like we discuss about this every day, right? Why are we not seeing smart wallets? Everyone agrees here, like, it has better security, you can do better functionality, you can do batching of transaction, you can make transaction cheaper, but still we're not seeing like smart wallets being adopted at the pace at which like we want to get it adopted. I think firstly I would say is like the onboarding for smart wallet is still a bit complicated, like compared to like a normal wallet. Like you have to pay certain costs, like to create like a smart wallet. In EU, it's definitely not. That creates like a bit of a pain point, like for people to get like used to smart accounts and pay for it. Sometimes, in some cases, we've funded that fees. In some cases, dApps funded it. Some cases, third party funded it. So I would say like the onboarding side of smart contract wallets still is kind of being worked on. I mean, like it's a lot better than when we got started. When we got started, there was only Gnosis Safe. Like I'm sure everyone knows about Gnosis Safe and what it does and like what sort of AUM it's having. But like people still like kind of not, the cost becomes still an issue like for people to get onboarded. Secondly is also like a bit on the composability aspect of things, like integrating smart accounts to multiple application. It takes, I mean, it's not like the known behavior right now. People and applications are still like more willing to go for MetaMask and Phantoms because the integration process is way easier. Smart contracts does create some vendor lock-in. That has both pros and cons in some cases. But on the flip side, right, like we're seeing smart contract wallets, like being integrated quite a lot, right? Like if you look at WorldCoin, right, like they have, I think 5 million smart accounts being created because, that's the way like they see like people gonna get onboarded, like where people gonna be approving transactions just by, like a biometric, or just a fingertip. Apart from it, like if you are looking at upcoming AI agents, like they all like been like closely researching with us that how smart accounts can help them like transacting autonomously, and we can have certain permissions on top of it. So, I think it all takes time, right? Like if we have to just look at the history, right, from 2013 to 2017, like exchanges were the only wallets, right? Like no one used to use EOS, right? Like MetaMask and all started in 2018, like, and then like couple of years, I think they don't like ruled some part of the market. But I think the world needs like upgraded wallet, and we feel like smart contract kind of fits into that category. If we're able to like solve some of the onboarding and cross-in compatibility issues, I think that's where like we and a lot of other projects are working on.
Awesome. So I would like to ask one question to Victor on Ton, because again, a very unique ecosystem. From my usage of Ton, what I realize is that a lot of the things are being built on Telegram itself. So you have the entire concept of mini apps now, where the idea is like you can deploy any application within Telegram itself, and you don't have to get out of Telegram to do anything. Here, and we've seen like Keeper, as we've been discussing, is like a huge wallet, which has like a mobile wallet, which has an extension. How do you see the Telegram native wallet versus the typical extension and mobile wallets also being used on Ton? Like, what I'm getting at is, if all the applications, everything is within Telegram itself, then why do you even need a mobile app or an extension? Is this the direction that wallets is going towards on Ton, where you see like everything happening within Telegram app itself?
Right. We were talking about that before the panel, right? And interestingly, the number of wallets created on Telegram on the native wallet is much bigger than Tonekeeper. But the level of activity, volumes, and people actually using, returning users, active users on Tonekeeper is much bigger. So there's this. I think. What we can understand from that, what we can learn from that, is that offering a wallet that is natively built within an app you are already using is certainly a much better way to onboard people, right? And then, of course, ToneSpace, differently from Tonekeeper, has much less products. So that might be in contrast the reason why users are more sticky on Tonekeeper, because they have more functionalities, more products, they can do more stuff there. But certainly, I think this learning we take from ToneSpace, that having a native wallet built in within an app you are already using, it's certainly a great way to onboard users.
Yeah, that's interesting as well, because wallets within the dApps is also something that is coming up a lot, like embedded wallets, for example, like Phantom recently launched one and everyone's talking about it. So is that a direction that you see dApps going next into, where a user does not even need to have any wallet for that matter, right? And you don't even need to know what an extension is, what a mobile app is for a wallet, and you have like embedded wallets across every single every single application on Web3.
Yeah, no, I think that's the direction that the world is heading in. And today Web3 exists on the browser and on the desktop through browser extensions. But that's not where Web3 is going to continue to exist. For the masses to adopt it, Web3 certainly has to come to the mobile phone and to mobile applications. And if you have mobile phones, mobile applications built on Web3 rails, you certainly have to have an embedded wallet within that app. What you don't want is in the flow, in the customer flow of that app, to sign a particular transaction. Let's say a MetaMask wallet is popping up and you're moving off app into a different app to sign a transaction. So I think it has to happen. It is the direction in which we're moving towards, which is an embedded wallet.
Yeah, like one interesting follow-up there is, now we are trying to build wallets like Phantom or Leap, which has Cosmos native, but EVM chains as well. We are adding Bitcoin support next. So you just have one wallet and use it across different ecosystems. Phantom is doing the same. As you mentioned, Base support has come up, EVM support has come up, Bitcoin support is there. Now, if you're going back to the dApps and telling them that you'll have to use an embedded wallet, and they're like dApps on Solana, there's dApps on EVM, dApps on Cosmos, are we not going back to the same problem again, where now every single dApp has to use the same provider for you to have the same wallet? And is this not going back to the same loop? A single provider has to now support all of these ecosystems. Yeah, like if I'm going to Radium on Solana, I would use Phantom's embedded wallet, but I'm not going to use the same on any other dApps across the ecosystem, right? Is it not going back and trying to solve the same problem from scratch?
Yeah, our perspective is two things on that. One, embedded wallets that are interop will be the ones that will survive and solve the most amount of customer problems. The other is, even with embedded wallets, you can make a distinction between existing customers with existing wallets and new customers who you want to onboard through, let's say, a social login. If it's a new customer, you create a new wallet for him, and that's an interoperable wallet which you can use in other places as well. If it's an existing customer, you can actually import his existing wallet and still give an embedded wallet experience. So fundamentally, at the end of the day, what you need to solve for is the experience layer, regardless of where the customer is coming from or which wallet the customer is coming from. But you certainly need an embedded experience at the end of the day.
Yeah, I think I also definitely agree on that. And Rohit brought up one interesting point, that mobile is something that probably 5 years down the line, that is going to be the thing that wins us, gets us more users. Is that something that you both agree as well? Because currently, obviously, I would say majority of DJs or users are on desktop trying to do stuff with the extension. But do you see like 5 years down the line, mobile being the core way for Web3 to be accessed?
I mean, not 5 years. I think it's still happening. We were in Thailand right recently for DEF CON, and we were just chatting with like local people there, and what they were saying is that they just know Phantom Wallet and Moodang, right? Like, so they're already getting onboarded to like crypto through like mobile wallets only. So I think, as I said, right, like I think it'll be like a bit of a niche process, right? For example, right, some of the people who are majorly into memes, like they are just getting onboarded through sort of like mobile experience only. But like people who are core DeFi users, they still want to have like Web3 like desktop kind of flows because things are way better there. Eventually, like it's inevitable, right? It's happening. I think everyone's kind of working on it. We have better logins, better ways to make it happen. Again, like for some use cases, it's already like have become like the default. For other use cases, it might take some time.
Got it. Yeah, I think we are almost at the end of time. So probably I'll just take a moment to ask each of you to also like quickly share any of the next interesting stuff that you folks are working on specifically on the wallet side or anything related to the infra of wallets. And then probably we can take a couple of questions from the audience.
Sure. I'll just slightly tap on the last topic, embedded wallets, because I think there is this very interesting shift from traditional finance apps to adopt like Web3. I'm not sure if we can call it like wallets, but it comes down to something that Aniket mentioned in the beginning, which is use cases. So we might, we that been in the space for a while, of course, we want to have like more flexibility and use it, use crypto, use blockchain for different purposes. But maybe people that are coming in, they just want to maybe try to make some money, and that's actually when they start to go through the path of learning. So this is all to say that from a business perspective, embedded wallets are, I think they make us two good favors for the industry. They help to onboard users in a way that it is easy. So it's basically onboarding users, right? So it's a good favor for the industry. And the second favor it does is that it shows to users, or after some time, those users, they realize that these are not wallets and they need to progress. They need to go to the next stage. So I think those traditional finance apps, they're making us this good favor by creating their own embedded wallets as a business opportunity. So I think that's, I actually like it.
Thanks for the insight. But yeah, anything that's coming up, what's the most interesting thing coming up on wallet?
Specifically about wallet in Telegram?
Yeah, wallet on Telegram.
Okay. So there is this one thing that we're trying to heavily solve, which is on and off ramps. And across all the wallets, you also have the same issue, right? Of course, you have those on and off ramp providers. There are new trends coming up, like on ramp aggregators, that kind of stuff. But it's still very expensive and troublesome for users to go through those traditional on-ramp services, like MoonPay, for example. We've seen a shift from, especially when it comes to the regulatory aspect, wallets being able to create, to access payment rails, like Pix in Brazil, for example, as the regulatory environment becomes more friendly. So you have those wallets, being able to access traditional payment rails provided by local companies with some more, flexibility, being more comfortable in providing that to users. So I think that's ultimately it's what's going to improve the UX and shift users from using custodial exchanges to actually wallets, self-custodial wallets, as it's primarily place for storing and using their crypto assets.
Awesome. Thanks. Rohit?
I think from our perspective, related to wallets, what we're working on is, we started with the Okto wallet, which is a true chain abstraction-based wallet. Users are completely abstracted away from gas fees across chains, bridging, et cetera, You get single-click mobile native experiences. So we started with the Okto wallet. And what we realized was the platform that we built to enable these kind of single-click chain abstracted experiences, that platform is very valuable. What we're working towards is taking that platform and putting it on chain to make it massively scalable, where anyone can come and build on it in a permissionless, composable manner, which is what we call the Okto chain. We're working on that, and hopefully we should have a testnet soon and a mainnet launch sometime in the first quarter of next year.
Awesome. Aniket?
Yeah, just quickly, like we've been just working on infra for the last 5 years. But 6 months ago, we as a company decided to also branch out into like building consumer products. We launched the first version of a product that we've been building. It's called Normie, rhymes with normies. So it's something we feel like it's going to be like a new primitive of how people do on-chain transactions. It's still on like whitelist right now, so I won't like share like much details on that. But if anyone wants to try it out, I think we just rolled like a demo. Just log into the website. I think we'll give you some early access, but it'll be like a fun experience to use like on-chain to do on-chain transactions, on Normie. Like that's what we're working on.
Awesome.